Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Robert Neely. Happy Monday. A joy to be with you here today. Happy 4th of July. We hope you had all that coverage last week and enjoyed our time in Des Moines, Iowa. I know it was great being out there with Christina Loren and to have Matthew at the desk here to give you all of that unbridled access to what we do best, showcasing President Trump in the heartland, as he promised. Promises made, promises kept, to start off America 250. But I know this weekend there's a lot of sadness, there's a lot of heavy hearts, and our prayers and thoughts are with the great Lone Star State of Texas, with reports saying over 80 passing now from those floods in the hill country, a beautiful area of this great nation. I've had a couple of dear friends get married in the hill country, and Texas is definitely near and dear to my heart, having lived there at one point, and also with many friends who are like family to me. And the stories of heroics happening as well. Over 850 recovered thus far, men, women, and children. But we keep hearing these stories, and we'll showcase some of that heroism. But words really cannot describe the pain that many must be feeling. A statement from the White House Faith Office saying that the White House Faith Office asks you to join us in prayer for the precious lives lost in the Texas floods. Amidst this tragedy, our nation must come together and pray for the victims, their families, and the first responders conducting rescue missions to find those still missing. May God wrap his loving arms around all of those in Texas. And as Psalm 34:18 states, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. And we know that Governor Greg Abbott announcing a day of prayer just yesterday on Sunday. We hope you took the time to do that and continue to do so. And we will share any resources that are helping down there as the recovery method is still in motion. I reached out to a number of different Texas offices today to get some comment. Perhaps we'll have that over the course of our broadcast today to give you the most updated situation on what's taking place in the great state of Texas. But words cannot describe a once-in-a-generation storm, and although I don't have children, there are young ones in my family, and I can't imagine losing them to what seems to be an act of God. But we place our trust in him, and there really are no words for anyone who has to bury their child or lay them to rest. But we are here for you at Right Side Broadcasting Network. The nation is with you, and that's what we do best as Americans. We rally together in these tragic times, whether they are man-made, whether they are acts of God, and our thoughts and prayers with the beautiful hill country of Texas. As we await Karoline Leavitt to hold a press briefing today, and we're seeing that gas prices are plunging in this country, so we hope you had to take advantage of that with the travels, really setting a record in recent years of how many Americans were on the road for the 4th of July. 5.5 million by the air, 61% total by car, actually. So definitely taking the words of Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy to hit the road and enjoy the great sights that America has to offer. And of course, as you're doing that, make sure you're staying hydrated, make sure you're getting those good meals in, because we can attest, going back to Thursday, it was a hot one in Iowa, but we were there for it, having a blast, and great to see that everyone was enjoying it in a healthy manner, because this time of year just gets fairly warm, but it seems to be like that throughout most of the country. As gas prices plunge under President Trump's new energy policies following the cheapest Independence Day gas prices in 4 years, drivers across America continue to enjoy plummeting prices, boosting family budgets, and fueling economic growth from coast to coast. The price decline is being reported actually nationwide. In Columbus, Ohio, Central Ohio gas prices approach the lowest levels since the COVID-19 pandemic. In Grand Rapids, Michigan, drivers are seeing relief at the pump as prices decline. And that's great, because the Wolverine State, beautiful to tour with all of their natural resources and their waterways during the summertime. Birmingham, Alabama, right here in the great state of Alabama, Birmingham gas prices drop now 43.2 cents lower than last year. Now, in Lynchburg, Virginia, the average gasoline prices in Virginia have fallen in the last week, Gas Buddy is saying as well. In Rome, Georgia, not far from Auburn, Georgia's gas price average takes a downward turn. How about in Charleston, South Carolina, that beautiful city? South Carolina's national gas prices fall over the holiday weekend. Good to see at a time where most people are taking to the road. Gainesville, Florida, gas prices go down across the board. Chattanooga, Tennessee, Chattanooga gas prices continue to fall, and that's good for the Chattanooga Choo Choo, if you know that song. Detroit, Michigan, state gas prices drop after the 4th of July. Sometimes you can see a spike there as well, so it's good to see that post-holiday celebrations. Syracuse, New York, by AAA, gas prices are trending down despite the record travel over the July 4th weekend. Also in the low country of South Carolina, gas prices dropping to $2.72 per gallon. National gas prices show a similar decline across the board there. In San Luis Obispo, California, SLO County gas prices continue dropping, which is much needed relief for a very expensive part of the state, very expensive part of the country. In Indiana, Pennsylvania, yes, there is an Indiana, Pennsylvania, gas prices in PA are down from last year. Rochester, Minnesota, low gas prices are being travelers in and out of Rochester for the holiday weekend, which is good. That's home of the Mayo Clinic up there. In Akron, Ohio, gas prices have gone down again in Northeast Ohio and in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Gas prices down from the same time last year. And that actually just puts a smile on my face for all these places, because each and every one of these cities I've spent a significant amount of time in for one reason or another, whether it be business or pleasure. And good to see that gas prices they're going down across the board, across this great nation of ours. So as we pay attention, and you're tuning into Right Side Broadcasting Network to give you everything, unbridled access to your government, why not hit the road and enjoy some R&R with the family? And maybe make it long this year. Although it's great to fly, why not get in the car and stop at some incredible places throughout the country? One of my favorite routes is really from Atlanta, Georgia to Chicago, Illinois, because in between that way, so much happened in our history, so much on the east of the Mississippi River, and you can find yourself wanting to stop and maybe getting distracted on a regular basis, whether it's presidential homes, the Civil War battlefields, to great landmarks as well. So make sure you get on the road this summertime in this golden era as we are underway for America 250. It's an exciting time to share with you here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Now, President Trump is really putting tariffs on the board again. 12 to 15 countries will be getting letters of notice and an extended period of time past the 90-day referendum on the initial tariff announcement. They now have till August 1st to really come to the table. And he's stating on Truth Social that Brazil is doing a terrible thing on their treatment of former President Jair Bolsonaro. I have watched as the world has, as they have done nothing but come after him. It's very similar what is happening in Brazil happened in the United States to President Trump with the lawfare. Day after day, night after night, month after month, year after year, they're going after former President Bolsonaro. He is not guilty of anything except having fought for the people. And I've gotten to know Mr. Bolsonaro, and he was a strong leader who truly loved this country. If you remember, President Trump inviting him on many occasions to Mar-a-Lago, the Southern White House. He truly loved his country, and President Trump going on to say, also a very tough negotiator on trade. His election was very tough on the economy. And it was very close, very narrow. He is leading in the polls, and this is nothing more or less than an attack on a political opponent, something I know much about. It happened to me times 10, and now our country is the hottest in the world. The great people of Brazil will not stand for what they are doing to their former president. I'll be watching the witch hunt of Javier Bolsonaro and his family and thousands of his supporters very, very closely. The only trial that should be happening is a trial by the voters of Brazil. It's called an election. Leave Bolsonaro alone. You can see there President Trump truthing that just this morning to give context as well. So President Trump will speak power to what is happening around the world. And there is definitely lawfare. There's definitely a communist movement. There's a globalist, far left, deep state movement that is happening right now. So we'll watch all that as we thank our sponsors here on the right side of history, All Family Pharmacy. You can visit them at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN for now the buy one, get one free. This is from the 4th of July all through July 13th. Ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, mebendazole, NAD+, 200 essential medications. Order now, July 3rd through 13th. It is the go-to, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. So stock that medicine cabinet. Also, you can bring their emergency medical kits and antibiotics. Also, these great buy one, get one frees on the road with you in case you take that road trip. So you order 30, you get 60. You order 90, you get 180. Buy one, get one free now. It makes sense to do. Allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. No, President Trump did bring down the cost of pharmaceuticals. Will continue to work on that with his executive order. But this online pharmacy really hitting the ground running to serve you, the American people. Great doctors, great pharmacists, great nurses as well. Very patriotic and believe in the values that we hold dear here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Buy one, get one free. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. So go ahead and scan that QR code. Once you've settled your medicine cabinet and you have it all ready for your big summer vacation, how about checking out Colonial Metals Group and re-examining your savings and retirement? We know that the Chinese Communist Party, they want to drop an economic Pearl Harbor on the United States. So protect yourself. Protect your IRA and 401k with gold, 100% tax-free. Scan the QR code now or go to freegoldguy.com/RSBN. We've also known their antics with manipulating currencies with some countries, even Spain, a good friend of ours, claiming they can't afford the 5% GDP with the NATO agreement. So President Trump renegotiating all those trade deals, even in the midst of a great capitalist, pro-populist, pro-middle-class president, as Donald Trump is. Smart to back up your properties, assets, savings, IRA, 401ks, even crypto with gold and silver, because it's the one tangible metal that has stood the test of time. Also, if you order through the free gold guide, no obligation, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. You receive that free gold guide for 2025, but you also stand a chance to win up to $7,500 in silver on the house, a gift from Colonial Metals Group. So I'd listen to the great people here at RSBN. I'd listen to U.S. Attorney Judge Jeanine Pirro. She loves Colonial Metals Group. They are the best in the business. So scan that QR code now and shield your savings today. Thank you to Colonial Metals Group for your sponsorship on the right side of history. And we truly have the best sponsors in the business as we look forward to Karoline Leavitt holding a press briefing at the top of the hour. Likely some of the issues at hand dealing with the federal response to Texas. And sadly, at a time when it's really not meant to point fingers or blame. In fact, a lot of the far left legacy globalist deep staters have tried to blame President Trump for this once in a generation storm, this terrible act of God that took place, killing at least 80 with dozens more missing. Thanks be to God, it looks as if more than 24 children were saved, but we've also lost over 24 in this process. It's just an absolute tragedy taking place in the Hill Country. The shining, glimmering hope in all of it, 850 people were saved in the process. And that's a testament to great local law enforcement, people braving and sacrificing themselves to save children as well. And we don't know anyone specifically who was at that camp, but I know elected officials, I have family friends who know of people who either had recoveries or did lose friends in this process. And my heart and deepest condolences, prayers going out to you during this time. In fact, the entire RSBN family praying for all of you. And that's something that we look at our emails that you send in, feedback@rsbn.tv. We thank you for doing that, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But if there's a time where you need prayer or someone just to talk to, we are open here as an RSBN family, feedback@rsbn.tv. Please feel free to reach out if there's anything we can do, especially in regards to prayer, because prayer does work. Prayer is a consolation, as my friend Charlie Kirk has said on multiple occasions, especially on the college campuses. I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. And that's been my own experience with my own personal tragedies in my own life, my own struggles, my battle with cancer. I've talked about that here at the network. It's really a present every day. That's why it's called the present, to wake up, to take on the world, especially to be an American. We love celebrating that here, but we're also with you when there are tough times, and this is a tough time. We'll see the federal response. President Trump putting out on Truth Social over the weekend that he has authorized a federal response to this, putting DHS Secretary Kristi Noem right on the case. So we'll watch all of that, as there will be a federal cooperation here with state and local law enforcement. But just to give you really a purview of what happened there, you had individuals, professional divers, also these local law enforcement authorities. They're going into these muddy areas. On top of last night, there was another flash flood watch turning into a warning. And that's the worst thing that can happen when something like that, a river rises in the Guadalupe River over 26 feet in a matter of half an hour. You just don't hear of things like this. So all of that mud, all of that muck running and rushing through there, there were people going out there, if you saw that footage, looking for bodies, looking for recovery. And as Governor Greg Abbott has pledged, whether it's finding life or finding the loss of life, we will find and recover every body in this terrible, terrible tragedy. And the workers who would go in there, think about this, they're dealing with water moccasins and different snakes and other dangers that might be in that water, and even the chemicals, the runover that can happen with all of these natural disasters. So they're putting themselves in harm's way in order to bring peace and closure to every family. You drop your kid off at a summer camp and you think, well, gosh, I hope they make friends, or I hope they just don't get bullied, or I hope they enjoy their experience and maybe start to learn something about our natural resources, something about an emergency situation, how to build a fire, how to start a fire, how to sanitize water perhaps if the electricity goes out. Things we should all think about, especially if anything were to happen to the grid, God forbid that. But you just don't think that at a Christian camp that's been going on for years and years, where the camp attendees themselves have become counselors, that you would have something like this happen. And that's, again, why you have to be thankful for every day. We just don't know the time nor the hour. That's a reality we all share in life. We'll all come to meet our Maker in one way or the other. And we pray for a peaceful passing. We pray for our ability to make a difference while here on earth, as we work for and ask the Lord for our eternal salvation, to be with Him. And we know that it's through Him, and ultimately through Him, that is the gateway to the Father. So we pray so much for the great state of Texas in this time, and that's a great reminder too that we're all Americans, and through all of this, we'll get through it. And it's just no words for those in the great state of Texas. Our prayers are with you as we thank our sponsors here at the network, Kalshi.com/RSBN. You can scan the QR code right there, and this is what's really neat about this application. If you haven't tried it yet, you can trade and bet on the most important questions that are out there. So, for example, will Elon Musk create a new political party this year? There's talk of the American Party, one that is third-party populist, also focusing on bringing down the debt. Well, it's down 36% 50% right now as a chance, but maybe you'll see something like that. There's reports that he might be doing such a party. You can scan the QR code now and for questions like who will President Trump pardon this year? That's very possible to see any one of those names being pardoned as part of the process. We know that it will actually be his signature and not the auto pen. So that's important to look into. So it's questions like that. It's questions like, will egg prices continue to go down? Will inflation go down? And will President Trump, by August 1st, get some more reciprocal tariffs in the works on countries like Spain? So all of those questions right here, kalshi.com/RSBN. Also, angelpaste.com, a great sponsor here at the network. They are Christian owned. They hire veterans. They also have the Miracle Cream. It's their original. I tried it here on the network. Left my skin glowing, got rid of my dry skin. I highly recommend it because sometimes you go down to the local pharmacy or your drugstore and you get those lotions and creams and you read through the ingredients and you really wonder what you're putting on your skin and then what's getting absorbed into your body. No worries here at Angel Paste because it's non-GMO, no chemicals, just good things that will take care of your skin. They also have the orange option, vitamin C infused, non-GMO, no chemicals. Also, the natural mosquito spray, good for this time of year, especially as you celebrate America 250 in this Jubilee year that was launched just last week by President Trump in Des Moines, Iowa. And also that facial spray, good for guys and gals, and they go to paint the town red. So angelpaste.com. Visit today, Christian-based, and they hire veterans out of Spring, Texas, off of the Gulf of America. Thank you for your sponsorship on the right side of history. And we are covering the latest from the Trump White House as we await Karoline Leavitt to hold a press briefing at the top of the hour. And one of the huge successes, the one big, beautiful bill, we'll look into what she'll dive into there regarding some of the reaction to it. We know the Republican Congress, 218 to 214. So it went out of reconciliation back on May 22nd. That was a 215 and 214 vote. Then on to the United States Senate, where it was somewhat of a tit for tat, breaking down of the bill. This can happen in a bicameral setting. And what happened there was a 51-50 tiebreak vote by Vice President J.D. Vance to push it back to the House for that final package. You then have the 218 and 214 vote take place there. So in the House, you had Brian Fitzpatrick of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and again, Congressman Thomas Massie of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Were no votes ultimately within the House, but regardless, this did pass. And right after that, we have the announcement of the resignation of Mark Green from Tennessee. So that did take place over the course of the last several hours, and that's the 7th district just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. So we'll see who ultimately runs for that seat and get more information in Tennessee. We now know that there are 10 days, 10 calendar days, that the governor there, Bill Lee, has to call for a special election. So we'll see what takes place there over the course of the next few days. But that really narrows down the majority to 219 now to 212. So there'll be 4 vacancies. Mr. Green will be in office until July 20th, until he moves on to a business venture and we'll probably hear more information regarding that very soon. But this will all be different topics for Karoline Leavitt to hold and look over the course of the next 30 minutes here. And we look forward to bringing it to you directly. And some breaking news here as well. President Trump, as you can see there, to Prime Minister of Japan, Mr. Shigeni, it is a great honor for me to send this letter in that it demonstrates the strength and commitment of our trading relationship and the fact that the United States of America has agreed to continue working with Japan despite having a significant trade deficit with your great country. Nevertheless, we have decided to move forward with you, but only with more balanced and fair trade. Therefore, we invite you to participate in the extraordinary economy of the United States of America, the number one market in the world by far. We have had years to discuss our trading relationship with Japan and have concluded that we must move away from these long-term and very persistent trade deficits that endangered by Japan's tariff and non-tariff policies and trade barriers. Our relationship has been, unfortunately, far from reciprocal. Starting on August 1st, we will charge Japan a tariff of only 25% on any and all Japanese products sent into the United States, separating from all other tariffs goods transshipped to evade a higher tariff and will be subject to that higher tariff. Please understand the 25% number is less than what is needed to eliminate the trade deficit disparity, and we will have that with your country. As you are aware, there will be no tariff if Japan or companies within your country decide to build or manufacture products within the United States, and in fact, we'll do everything possible to get approvals quickly, professionally, routinely. In other words, in a matter of weeks. If for any reason you decide to raise your tariffs, then whatever the number you choose to raise them will be added 25% to that charge. So please understand that these tariffs are necessary to correct the many years of Japan's tariff and non-tariff policies and trade barriers, causing these unsustainable trade deficits against the United States. And this deficit is a major threat to our economy and indeed our national security. We look forward to working with you as trading partners for years to come, and we will wish you an open, hereto of closed trading markets to the United States and eliminate your tariff and non-tariff policies and trade barriers. We will perhaps consider an adjustment to this later. You will never be disappointed with the United States of America. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So President Trump, promises made, promises kept. That's the first letter we have seen going out to the beautiful country of Japan. And there's historical bounds for this because President Reagan, the capitalist president that he was, he also issued a 100% tariff to Japan in the 1980s. President Trump spoke about it when he was my age on the Oprah show, talking about them manipulating their currency and taking advantage of the United States. So President Trump, promises made, promises kept. Tariffs on the docket, 25% for Japan. It can go up by an additional 25%. Unless they come to the table, I'm sure they will. And just like China is doing now, they once manipulated their currency in Japan and came to the table during Ronald Reagan. I'm sure they will during the tenure of President Donald Trump. Thank you to our sponsors on the right side of history, Tax Network USA, tnusa.com/RSBN. Settle your back taxes today. Protect yourself from the IRS. Settle those back taxes now. So call today. Don't delay. 800-357-1415. tnusa.com/RSBN. 800-357-1415. tnusa.com/RSBN and MyPillow.com/RSBN. We have a new special sale from none other than the purveyor of the freedom of speech, the defender of election integrity himself, Mr. Mike Lindell. The My Cross special going for 50%. There is a male and female version of both. Why not have the beautiful necklace honoring our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ that is exactly like Mike's? So I want to be like Mike. Why not get a beautiful cross to display and honor our Lord? 50% off now. MyPillow bed sheets as low as $24.98 with MyPillow.com/RSBN. And now the multi-use MyPillow 2.0. Many different versions, patriotic versions. With God, all things are possible. Or just a simple, sleek color for you to lay and rest your head. Now going for $9.98. I mean, there's no better deal out there with over 2,000 items at MyPillow.com/RSBN. You can save with code RSBN. Call today. Don't delay. 800-836-7566. A free shipping sale. Promo code RSBN. Support Mike Lindell and this great network. Go to MyPillow.com/RSBN. Thank you for your sponsorship on the right side of history as we cover all of the latest leading up to Karoline Leavitt to hold a press briefing at the top of the hour. I think we'll go now to a quick commercial break, Mr. Producer, and stick with us here for unbridled access to your government, the 47th President, the 50th Vice President, the 119th Congress, inside and outside the Beltway. You're with RSBN's Live Desk. I'm Robert McNeely. We'll be back with you in a moment.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live Show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Welcome back to RSBN's Live Desk. I'm Robert McNeely. We are awaiting White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt to hold a briefing at James S. Brady Briefing Room, scheduled for 1 o'clock at the top of the hour. President Trump meeting later today with the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Bibi Netanyahu, also sending out tariff threats to other countries, including Japan. Promises made, promises kept. He wants some kind of engagement by August 1st, and those letters are going out now as the 90-day memorandum has really come to an end. President Trump engaging with a number of countries regarding different trade deals, and we saw them come to the table earlier in the year, and our prediction here will happen again. We look forward to that. Gas prices going down as well. And Representative Mark Green of Tennessee announcing his retirement after the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill and the signing by President Trump. He's going on for some business ventures. Be out of Congress July 20th. So that brings down that narrow majority now to 219 for Republicans, 212 for Democrats with 4 vacancies. Governor Bill Lee has 10 days to order a special election. That's 10 calendar days. So we'll stay on that for you. The 7th Congressional District just west of Nashville, Tennessee. And in case you missed any of the big, beautiful celebrations in Washington, D.C., I'm sure you had your own big, beautiful celebration as well. President Trump just really diving in with this America 252, American greatness, and sharing on True Social just what he's looking forward to over the course of the next year.
This wonderful day, we celebrate our history, our heroes, our heritage, our great American flag, and our freedom. Every American heart should swell with pride. Every American family should cheer with delight, and every American patriot should be filled with joy, because each of you lives in the most magnificent country in the history of the world. We will proclaim the ideals of the Declaration of Independence, and we will never surrender the spirit and the courage and the cause of July 4th, 1776.
Lots of hope, lots of patriotism, lots to look forward to over the course of the next year. We're also mindful as well, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, just all of those who are suffering in Texas at the moment with that mystic camp that was wiped away by an act of God. Over or nearly 30 feet of water rushing in roughly 30 to 45 minutes. 850 people saved. That's the glimmer of hope in all this, but in some cases, family members lost, over 24 young children lost to this storm. We'll stay on this for you. We've reached out to a number of different Texas politicians, their offices, to maybe get some comment today. I know everyone's in the recovery phase and that mode, and I'm sure exhausted. So our thoughts and prayers with everyone in the Lone Star State of Texas. And there are just no words. I don't have any personal connections other than dear friends who have been married in that hill country and dear friends who live in the great state of Texas. But friends of friends have lost loved ones. And so please keep them in your thoughts and prayers as President Trump declaring that emergency authorization. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem will be on this, as well as her department, and for a federal assistance with Governor Greg Abbott at the state and local level, with countless heroes. Amazing stories already coming through of breaking through windows, putting themselves in harm. Some counselors, in fact, sacrificing themselves so that the children would live. It's an amazing thing. As we tour this country, we realize, I got to see, especially on the campaign trail last year, just how good the American people are. I was reminded of that in Des Moines, Iowa. The generosity, the kindness, but also the willingness to step out in harm's way in order to save your fellow American and your fellow man. And that's what this MAGA movement is about. And our thoughts and prayers today with the great Lone Star State of Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas, and our hearts are 2 or 3 times bigger in devotion for all of you. And at the very least, we are praying for you. And we will bring anyone on who can give you further updates on that over the course of our broadcast. Thank you to our sponsors here on the right side of history, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. It's the 4th of July sale. That extends now through July 13th. So a big one to jump on over the course of the next few days. You have less than a week. Ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, mebendazole, also an NAD+, all of these great drugs that can help with countless bacterial viral infections. We saw what happened with COVID, and these are great remedies, as well as over 200 essential medications, emergency medical kits, and antibiotics right there for you. So no insurance, no hassle, no red tape, nothing to worry about there. Buy one, get one free. Scan that QR code now and make sure that medicine cabinet is full, because being unprepared in 2025 really is just not an option anymore. And what's great about a lot of their products, you can take them on the road for your summer vacation. So if you're going coast to coast or going up and down one part of the great country, whether the east or the west coast or somewhere in the heartland, it's great to have these high quality products. No insurance, no issue, and also no waiting. You can order these and within 24 hours, they're right at your front door. It's pretty good stuff. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Doctors, pharmacists, nurses, all committed to America first and to making America healthy again. So order now, buy one, get one free. 30 pills turns into 60, 90 turns into 180. A great time to take advantage of it right now, the 4th of July sale, now through July 13th at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. And once you have your health in order, why don't you visit Colonial Metals Group? They're the best in the business. U.S. Attorney Judge Janine Pirro, she loves these guys. So do we. I mean, they truly are a great group of people. And I'll tell you why. Because you get the freegoldguide.com/RSBN. You make that phone call. You reach out to them. They're not going to hound you about things. They'll walk you through things. And trust me, I've been in sales. I know about the follow-up calls, the follow-up knockings, and sometimes you can irritate someone in the process. I 100% get that. This group does not do that. They want to protect your IRA and 401k with gold, 100% tax-free. So why not heed the warnings of experts like Warren Buffett? Why not be aware of the economic calamity, the Pearl Harbor that the Chinese Communist Party wants to put on the United States? They were buying up primetime farmland around our military bases. Thank God President Trump and especially Republican governors throughout the Southeast stopped that from happening. But who knows who might get elected in 2026? And even with President Trump at the top of the ticket, always good to protect your wealth and your finances, also your savings and retirement. freegoldguide.com/RSBN. If you purchase anything with their no obligation 2025 Gold Guide, you stand a chance to be entered for $7,500 in cold, delicious, wonderful, tangible silver. So think about that. I mean, $7,500 on the house is good alone, but that paper money can be taxed. It can be inflated. How about tangible gold and silver? So Colonial Metals Group, your go-to for retirement. Thank you for your sponsorship on the right side of history. freegoldguide.com/RSBN. As we cover all of the breaking details of today, you see a live shot there of the James S. Brady briefing room. We'll take you to another issue that you might not be aware of. President Trump sharing this video on True Social. And it's a little over 4 minutes long here, but you have Make Fishing Great Again. I saw this up in Alaska when I was covering local news. The overfishing taking place by the Chinese Communist Party in Alaskan waters, and the Otto Penn administration did not do anything about it. Sadly, our Canadian friends to the north, there's some overfishing happening in the East Coast, especially in the Northeast. And this is something that happens really on a regular basis. So conservation, a huge component of this great administration. And it's an issue you might not be aware of. Perhaps White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt will talk about that in moments. But let's take you to what fishermen are saying up and down the East Coast of the United States.
How does the government allow other outside entities to take whole aspects of life away from us? The generations to come will not have fishermen.
So here we have a Canadian exploitation of U.S. natural resources. Does that make any sense today?
What do you think would happen if we did not have 51,000 metric tons or 112 million pounds of menhaden removed from the bay every year?
No croaker in the bay, no trout in the bay, crab populations are down, you name it, and it's all contributed to one thing, the pillaging of menhaden in the Chesapeake Bay.
To the benefit of the Canadians.
We're the last people that's allowing this to happen in our own backyards. The only 2 states that are allowing it are being pillaged by foreigners, and that's a fact.
The scale of their operation is enormous. The impact they've had is unbelievable. You can just talk to any fisherman. What do they say? Oh, the fishing's terrible. Oh, there's no bait. No bait. American fishermen, the lobster industry, the menhaden industry, the striped bass industry, from Key West to Maine. It crushes us. It's a no-brainer.
Well, what's the problem? What's the big deal? The top line is the total allowable catch of Atlantic menhaden on the Atlantic coast. The blue is what is allocated to the Canadian company. Make any sense to you?
These fish, they're called the most important fish in the sea, and there's a reason they're called that. This is a fish that feeds all the other fish, striped bass, bluefish, trout, cobia, red drum, mammals, dolphin, porpoise, whales, as well as seabirds.
So that means 2/3 of the total amount of catch for the entire Atlantic coast is being removed by a Canadian company from the entrance to the bay and the Chesapeake Bay itself. and it's a disaster.
Of all of the fish out there, striped bass are the ones that are most impacted by a reduction in menhaden.
It was the striped bass capital of the world when I was growing up, and now I grew up in Hawaii, and we knew that about the Chesapeake Bay.
Economically, it's probably the most important, most valuable fish we have on the East Coast.
Tons of striped bass. It was it was a $1 million industry, you know what? And almost overnight, gone. That's what happened in the last 10 years.
It's very obvious that somewhere down the way, the menhaden fleet decided not to respect the people around them, and that's where our problem is. You almost feel while working around them that you're in their land, and they're gonna let you know when it's time to get out of it. But I've had enough, and I'm speaking up for thousands of communities and livelihoods that are just like mine and my family's, and we've had enough of it. And I'm tired of somebody that is not from here and doesn't have the blood from where I come from telling me I'm nothing. And I'm not big enough to have a voice against these guys. It's bullshit.
All right, so look, anything that's broke can be fixed, okay, with the right intelligent approach.
This is where your seafood comes out of. And you would think we should put America first.
I'm going to go to the Trump administration and ask for a presidential executive order to end this complete ecological and economic disaster for the U.S. taxpayers.
And we're hoping you hear us. We need help on a federal level to protect our Gulf and our Gulf Coast estuaries before it's too late. Welcome to Louisiana, where foreign countries get to do what they want.
So a big issue there at hand for America's fishing industry and our professional fishermen, and something that is on the mind of the Trump administration. Clearly, President Trump sharing that over the weekend, as these are big times, especially down in the Gulf of America, getting to do all of that with being able to feed us with big, beautiful fish. So make America fish again, as that gentleman's hat said, but an interesting issue to be mindful of as we thank those who bring us maritime delight into the United States and make sure that they make their living off of that, but also conservation. There's so much at stake, millions and millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of jobs, and just like Iowa, that feeds the world corn among soybeans and other great things for your car and for your kitchen table. Same with these great fishermen up and down the Gulf Coast and the East Coast. Thank you to Kalshi for sponsoring us. Kalshi.com/RSBN. Big questions on bets and trades. Will Elon Musk create a new political party this year? Allegedly calling it the American Party. Right now it's saying that it's a 36% chance down, but that might turn around over the course of the next comments and bets and trades. Also, who will President Trump pardon this year? So those are some questions. In sports world, how about the LA Dodgers? Will they repeat the World Series championship, just as the Florida Panthers did in the NHL in hockey with the Stanley Cup? So all these different questions that are on the minds of Americans domestically, internationally. Kalshi.com/RSBN. Scan that QR code now. It is your go-to for live bets and trades on everything affecting our beautiful American culture. We are covering everything today with Karoline Leavitt, who is going to speak in roughly 10 minutes. And as we await that beautiful, big, beautiful press conference, as we like to call it, how about angelpace.com, an extraordinary organization here. I'm telling you, I've tried this before. You might have seen me do that on the network. Angelpace.com, it's the miracle cream, vitamin B infused, also vitamin C's option of the orange immunity booster. A great thing to use if you're feeling a little bit down, a little bit low, you got those sniffles. Great stuff there. Also, the natural repellent. It's a mosquito spray that is perfect for this time of year, and also a facial spray for the guys and the gals to get out there and paint the town red. So go to angelpaste.com, check out all of these different great products. Christian-owned company. They like to hire veterans, which is just so great to see our military growing, expanding with recruitment up there. Well, they're going to need a job after their service. Angel Paste, a great spot for that. They're based in Spring, Texas, in the Houston Metroplex, just off the Gulf of America. Angelpaste.com. Experience the miracle today. And there's a live look at the James S. Brady briefing room. Some colleagues of ours ready to hear from the GOAT of all press secretaries, Karoline Leavitt, to hold a press briefing on this beautiful Monday morning, afternoon now, post July 4th celebrations. And we hope that you had a wonderful 4th of July holiday with yours and the ones you love, family and friends. It's always good to get together to celebrate American independence, now 249 years young. And what's special about this celebration, it's truly the kickoff to the Jubilee year of America 250. An exciting time to celebrate why this country is special. And going back to the great lineup that took place in Des Moines, Iowa, with the rally there, President Trump really at ease, all excited as he was about to sign the one big beautiful bill come the day after on the 4th of July. Just talking about the greatness of America with Senators Joni Ernst and Chuck Grassley at hand. Also, NATO Ambassador Matt Whitaker, the former acting Attorney General of the United States. He is a great Iowan himself. Also accompanied by cabinet members, including Doug Burgum, Kristi Noem, Monica Crowley doing an amazing job at protocol as the chief, and Brooke Rollins, all speaking on the essence of civilization, how some stumble at this roughly 250-year mark. Well, we're seeing a revival, not only spiritually, but also in defending the foundations of this great country. So lots to celebrate, as President Trump did, in case you missed it, with the one big, beautiful bill.
I just want to say a very special hello to Iowa. We have had a good time. I'm thrilled to be back in a state that I love, and I really do love it too, with thousands of proud, hardworking patriots at the world-famous Iowa State Fairgrounds. 165 days into the Trump administration, America is on a winning streak like, frankly, nobody's ever seen before in the history of the presidency. The one big, beautiful bill will deliver the strongest border on earth, the strongest economy on earth, the strongest military on earth, and ensure the United States of America will remain the strongest country anywhere on this beautiful planet of ours. So as we chart our course for the next 250 years, let us rededicate ourselves to one nation under God.
And it was a sweltering, hot, humid day in the great state of Iowa, but a pleasure to be on the Iowa State Fairgrounds, one of the most famous in all of the country. And just as they are the first in the nation caucus every 4 years, they were the first in the nation to kick off this big, beautiful celebration for America 250. Can you believe it? Almost 250 years young, and much to celebrate, much to be thankful for in this great land of ours. And a great time, especially if you have kids, to learn about the truth of this nation and our founding documents and the pledge that was given by those 56 men who signed the Declaration of Independence. Some very young, early 20s, late teens, all the way up into their mid-30s, and some like the great scientist, professor, statesman. It's a laundry list of titles, but Benjamin Franklin, really the OG of the group, having stood up to the United Kingdom and said, we're not going to have this taxation without representation. We can govern ourselves better than you can. We can be self-reliant. We can be a constitutional republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And they pledged to one another their lives, their sacred honor, their fortunes, in order to see it come to light. And many did not live to see what President Jefferson was able to do, purchase Louisiana territories, and the famous Louisiana Purchase that expanded this nation. And by divine providence, we kept pushing west to a continental United States of 48 states. And then we tacked on a couple more in 1959 with Alaska and Hawaii, 6 territories. And we are the beacon of hope for the world. Thank you to our sponsors here on the right side of history, All Family Pharmacy. This is your go-to 4th of July sale. Buy one, get one free. So 30 tablets will turn into 60, or 90 turns into 180. Easy as pie, because you can order immediately today in 24 hours. It will be at your doorstep. No insurance, no red tape, no hassle. Just scientists and doctors, great pharmacists and nurses who want to bring this life-saving medication to you. Ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, mebendazole, NAD+, 200 essential medications, emergency medical kits, antibiotics. Buy one, get one free today, the 4th of July sale. Now going through July 13th, so hurry, hurry, hurry. It is going off the shelves, and you have less than 1 week from now. July 13th is the deadline. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Great for your medicine cabinet and great for on the road as well. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. And if you like what you see at the network, we are your go-to live desk for the government you put into place. Your 47th president, your 50th vice president, your 119th Congress, all at work to make America great again. Well, at least half of it is. Support us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, rsbnetwork.com/donate, or text RSBN to the new number 855-575-7888. That is 855-575-7888. We appreciate it if it's $2, $20, $200, $2,000, whatever you can afford. We are citizen journalists, anchors, hosts, also great writers here at the network that really dive into the issues of the day, including a beautiful Sunday devotional that I read every Sunday morning before I go to church. So be sure to catch all of the action and America First updates, rsbnetwork.com/donate. And that also funds rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. So it's not just the broadcast, but it's also the paper written side of it, all coming through to you if you like, share, and subscribe on the app and on that website there, rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. Looks like a packed house today for the Monday after the 4th of July. And we hope you had some time off to enjoy with family and friends. Always nice when the holiday lands on that Friday or a Monday. You can have an extended period of time to enjoy what's really the highlight of the summer, as it is just about 1 o'clock Eastern, and that means it is 10 o'clock on the West Coast. So for all of you watching, half of America, good afternoon. The other half of America, good morning. I'm Robert McNeely. It's a pleasure and a joy to be with you here at RSBN's live desk. And as I go around sometimes, even at our Iowa celebration, some people will ask, now what is RSBN? Which I can't believe you would not know necessarily, because we've been around for a decade now. We were 10 years young this July. Joe Seal's vision of getting out there and covering every Trump rally, really an amazing staple, talking to the people about what brought them to the MAGA movement. Now, we've transitioned a bit into a live desk for you to give you all of this incredible content of your government. We don't edit. We don't go through cutting and chopping and making it sound like someone said something different. No, we bring you the full speech. We bring you the full press conference. We bring you the hearings so you can actually make up your mind for yourself. And on top of that, we're thrilled about MAGA and MAHA. And now MABA, that was announced, Make America Beautiful Again, as the White House will be working on that. And we'll dive more into that on today's show with special nonpartisan partners in all of those endeavors to make this big, beautiful country even more beautiful over the course of the next 3.5 years. And this president, Donald Trump, really trailblazing, because what modern president has moved quicker in the last, give or take, 5.5 to 6 months of being in office? He recognizes that there are a number of items to work on, to fight for, and with 2026 right around the corner, who knows who will be in the majority? We are seeing that there are good chances for the United States Senate to retain that Republican majority, but that House majority, I mean, that is the slimmest of slims. And now you have Representative Mark Green of Tennessee announcing his retirement from the 7th District. He'll be in office through July 20th, but that gives Governor Bill Lee the opportunity to declare, actually by law he has to, 10 calendar days to set that date for a special election for that seat. So now we have 4 vacancies, 3 that were Democrat seats. Sadly, the untimely passings of 3 Democrat members, but also Mark Green, the gentleman from the great volunteer state of Tennessee, retiring for a business endeavor. And where does that leave the majorities? With 219 to 214 Republicans ahead of Democrats, but House Speaker Mike Johnson doing an exceptional job in leadership to whip those votes to get the one big beautiful bill through with reconciliation. It was returned by the Senate, a tie-break vote by J.D. Vance, none other than your vice president, and ultimately a 218 to 214 vote with 2 Republican holdouts. That includes Brian Fitzpatrick of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and, once again, Thomas Massey of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, who is likely to have a challenger. We'll watch all of that take place because, as House Speaker mentioned it, he's a good friend of his, but if you're voting with Democrats all the time, you know, it's what are you doing here? What is your agenda, and what do you want to accomplish in Washington? Well, we know that Kalshi.com/RSBN wants you to accomplish those good bets and trades on the biggest questions of the year. Who will President Trump pardon this year? Will there be Elon Musk creating a new political party, perhaps called the American Party? We'll see what happens with all of that. That's a 36% chance downward spiral at the moment. That could change. So scan that QR code now. Give a yes or a no to those questions. In addition to, will egg prices continue to go down? Will there be inflation of any sort? What will happen on August 1st by the time we get to the reciprocal trade agreements and what President Trump has put out to now South Korea, Japan, among other countries, 12 to 15 of them getting a letter and getting reciprocal tariffs bigly, especially Japan, a 25% tariff just thrown at them. So Kalshi.com/RSBN, all of those questions happening right now domestically and internationally for your viewing, trading, and betting pleasure. So scan the QR code now. Visit Kalshi.com/RSBN. We also have Tax Network USA, TNUSA.com/RSBN. Protect yourself from the IRS. If you miss April 15th, don't sweat it. I know you could get worried about that, but with the IRS ramping up its enforcement, it's smart to call today. Don't delay in all of this. 800-357-1415. If you own a small business and the books were just a mess this past year, you weren't sure where to dot the I's, cross the T's, and in some cases, cross the I's and dot the T's. Sometimes that has to happen. So visit TNUSA.com/RSBN. Tax Network USA, the great patriots. Protect yourself from the IRS. In many cases, the employees here, they've worked for the IRS. They know how to handle these things peacefully and patriotically, and they share your values. So you don't have to worry about if it's a government crony, deep state leftist on the other side of the phone. 800-357-1415, TNUSA.com/RSBN. We are 5 minutes after the hour, awaiting White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt to give a press briefing. So somewhat of a change in the schedule for today, but excited to see what the GOAT of all press secretaries has to say and what is on the mind of President Donald John Trump with really the last couple of weeks. In case you missed that big, beautiful speech in Des Moines, Iowa, followed by those beautiful fireworks that took place, although I've never seen fireworks during the day, but the schedule got ramped up just slightly based on the president's schedule. He's a busy guy, needs to be in many places at once. Has a president ever had a June like President Trump has had? Think about the G7. and another trade deal with the UK and Prime Minister Starmer, to the ending of the 12-day war between Israel and Iran. No surface-to-air missiles, no detection of our B-2 bombers. It sends fear into the hearts of those who would want to do harm to America or to our resources or to our friends in the region. How about the NATO summit bringing nearly every country, with the exception of Spain, to that 5% GDP threshold? And you now have the NATO Secretary of General meeting with Secretary of State Marco Rubio at the State Department today, and the former Dutch Prime Minister stating to President Trump, "It's like Daddy came home." And that turned into a viral sensation from the White House press office, the communications wing as well. Daddy is home and ready to do business. President Trump not backing down, and promises made, promises kept. It's been really an extraordinary couple of weeks, and he highlighted that in a very warm Iowa farm field at the Iowa State Fairgrounds, an iconic site just outside of Des Moines, and a beautiful place to visit. If you have not been to Des Moines, some very famous hotels, delicious restaurants, a lovely downtown. Thank you to the hospitality of the great people of Iowa. Always a smile on everyone's face, and a beautiful place to live, to see those rolling hills, especially in the summertime, and those cornfields, those soybean fields, the agriculture, the dairy farmers, the farmers of all kinds who fuel not only the United States, but now the world, as President Trump has opened up those markets for Europeans to be interested in poultry and beef from the United States. For a long period of time, it was closed off because of harmful pesticides and antibiotics and different things that were, injected into the cattle and into poultry as well, into the chicken. And this Make America Healthy Again movement really having ripple effects thanks to Secretary Kennedy and to countless others in the administration, including Brooke Rollins. She knows a lot at agriculture and about it because, being from Texas, she grew up on a farm. She knows how to handle all of those situations. So it's great to see this capitalist movement and a partnership of private and public entities to make America healthy again. It's not the federal government saying, do this or else we will spike these regulations like crazy. No, they are able to bring down regulations, bring down costs by sitting around the table and helping entrepreneurs and farmers across this great country to make America healthy again. And then you have these voluntary situations of the dyes being taken out of our medicines, of our food system, and even, fast food. Look at Steak and Shake right now. They will cook with beef tallow. It's extraordinary, and I've been through a couple of times now, and it's just as good, if not better. And also within their milkshakes, they got rid of those dyes. So how are they dyeing their different flavors? With ginger, with turmeric, healthy and all natural and organic. So it's good to see this happening in the United States, because if you look at the pictures from the 1970s and before compared to now, you see the diabetes and the overweight epidemic, and among other unhealthy things, hypertension. So many of those things skyrocketing over the course of the last few years, and they're very committed at HHS to finding why these things are happening in this great nation, including the rise of autism numbers as well. So we'll stay on that here on the right side of history as we thank one of our great sponsors who also wants to make America healthy again, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Buy one, get one free. It's the 4th of July sale, now through July 13th. So for 1 week left, only 1 week, ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, mebendazole, NAD+, 200 essential medications, also emergency medical kits and antibiotics, all there for you. So if there's 30 tablets you're ordering, you're going to get 60. If you need 90, you're going to get 180. So it makes sense. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Buy one, get one free. If you don't have insurance, don't worry. There's no red tape. There's no hassle. There's no fear. Order today. Within 24 hours, this great product or products will be right at your doorstep within 24 hours. These doctors, these pharmacists and nurses committed to you at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. We know President Trump signing that executive order to bring down the cost of pharmaceuticals in America. And this online pharmacy not waiting any moment longer in order to get it done for you, the American people. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Your go-to, buy one, get one free. Stock up that medicine cabinet and take it on the road with you for your summer vacations. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Also, Colonial Metals Group. Once you have your health in order, make sure that your savings are in order. Maybe you have to check on that IRA 401k. Do it with gold, 100% tax-free. Colonial Metals Group. Heed the warning of Warren Buffett and money experts across this country and great trustworthy patriots like U.S. Attorney Judge Jeanine Pirro, who want you to shield your savings today. Scan the QR code there or go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN to receive your free 2025 gold guide. It's gold, it's silver. It makes sense to have in this day and age. And if you make any purchase, you will get $7,500 worth or entered for a chance to win $7,500 of free silver. A great deal, as the Chinese Communist Party, they want to inflict an economic Pearl Harbor on the United States. They want to buy up prime time farmland. They want to destabilize our military bases, but they are failing because of President Trump's agenda with reciprocal tariffs and the great new trade deals, including the one he just signed with Vietnam. So China's on the ropes, but still, what does that mean for your money? freegoldguide.com/RSBN, your best route to savings and retirement with gold and silver. Thank you to Colonial Metals Group for sponsoring us on the right side of history. We are awaiting Karoline Leavitt, the GOAT of press secretaries, to hold a press briefing any moment now. And lots happening in the United States. I'm sure we'll hear about the federal response to what took place in Texas, and our thoughts and prayers with those in the Hill Country. It's a beautiful part of this country. I've had friends get married in that wonderful place just north of San Antonio and southwest of Austin, Texas. It's right in the heart of the Lone Star State. Once in a generation storm. We saw that feet and feet of water rise, roughly 30 feet in 30 minutes. So it came out of nowhere in the middle of the night, and sadly many young Americans have passed as a result of this. But the miracle of today, 850 plus recoveries. The recovery method's still ongoing. I was contacting Texas offices today to try to get any further comment for you here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. We might get that over the course of our broadcast today, and if not, we do understand with those offices as they are on the ground. Many things developing. Seconds and minutes matter in situations like this, and keep praying because miracles do happen. But Governor Greg Abbott has been very committed to recovering everyone from this, and they've been up against even more bad weather. Just last night, there were some flash flood warnings in the area and watches as well as more weather coming in, inclement weather. And you don't want that to happen on a site that was completely decimated by this Guadalupe River overflowing in the matter of minutes. And it's something that can happen, but you just don't expect it to happen. So it's really a time for thoughts and prayers and talking to God and asking for help over the great Lone Star State. As we thank our sponsors here on the right side of history, MyPillow.com/RSBN. Another great sale by Mike Lindell. He is the man. My Cross, 50% off, half off now for guys and gals. There's actually a feminine version, a masculine version. So you can get that replica cross that Mike wears at mypillow.com/RSBN. Also the MyPillow bed sheet sale for as low as $24.98. And the multi-use MyPillow 2.0 with different themes as with God, all things are possible. Also displaying American pride, the 4th of July pillow. Also just your normal colors as well, white, pink, blue, whatever you would like. With over 2,000 different items at mypillow.com/RSBN, you're supporting not only Mike Lindell, but our mission here at Right Side Broadcasting Network with an easy promo code of RSBN. MyPillow.com 800-836-7566. Perhaps the future governor of Minnesota. We know our friends up there can use some relief from socialism and communism, and Mike Lindell might just be that answer, the purveyor of free speech, the defender of election integrity, and he makes a heck of a product, all America made in the great state of Minnesota. MyPillow.com/RSBN, your go-to for a good night's rest and free shipping on this new sale. Thank you to Mike Lindell and MyPillow. And we are awaiting Karoline Leavitt to hold a press briefing today from the James S. Brady briefing room. As many of you know, this used to be the location of the White House swimming pool. If you've had a chance to visit, it's actually pretty cozy in there and get kind of toasty with all of the bodies in there listening to the great press secretary that we have. And this administration really opening it up to all voices with their new media initiatives and that new media seat. I wonder who will be there today. It's great to see so many friends and colleagues with the opportunity to ask the great press secretary a plethora of questions, but it's been more full than it's ever been before. So whitehouse.gov/new media, apply now. You might have a chance to sit in that seat yourself. And it's a great time to be alive with the 24/7 broadcast, because before we used to just have to listen to the legacy media. They might have had an agenda or two, and we've seen it on display over the course of the last decade. Now it's independent voices, it's citizen journalists, it's people who want to get information out to you, just as we do here at Right Side Broadcasting Network's live desk, so that you can make up your own mind at home and make the decision for yourself. And that's the way it should be. That's why media exists, to hold the powerful accountable, regardless of ideology or direction. And that's our mission here at Right Side Broadcasting Network Live. So feel free to write in if you wish to opine. Feedback@rsbn.tv. Feedback@rsbn.tv. The good, the bad, and the ugly, please feel free to write. We read them, and we want to know how we can help be your voice in this amazing world. It's a great time to be an American. Really, it always is, as we've been reminded recently that we should always love this dear country of ours, now 249 years young, as we have the Jubilee celebration this year going into America 250, the showcase of Flag Day, just less than 1 month ago in Washington, D.C., to Des Moines, Iowa, and President Trump announcing so many fun things over the course of the next year in America 250. Sounds like there's going to be a UFC fight or a series of them on the White House grounds. We know as President Trump loves professional sports, loves boxing, loves the UFC as well. Good friends with Dana White, a great American patriot. So we'll watch for that, and maybe we'll have some live action coverage of all of that in the future. Also, the Patriot Games announced in Des Moines, Iowa. It's going to be a showcase of America's greatest White House athletes. So it's a special group of people that are in high school. And I think about the All-Star Game as the McDonald's showcase in for football specifically, who go on to be those recruits. But this can be sports across the board. So think about swimming or lacrosse to baseball and basketball, a whole plethora of others. I'm sure maybe we'll get some curling as well because, hey, Canada might become the 51st state. So then it'll be an American sport. So think about that as we get ready for America 250 and the greatness that is our country. And we do hope that you get to go on the road this year and see everything that is America, whether it's the West Coast or up and down the East Coast, as the gas prices are plunging under President Trump's energy policies. And following the cheapest Independence Day gas prices in recent history, drivers across America continue to enjoy plummeting prices, boosting family budgets and fueling economic growth from coast to coast. And we've seen that thanks to the One Big Beautiful Bill. This price decline is truly being reported nationwide, whether it's in Columbus, Ohio, to Grand Rapids, Michigan, to right nearby here, Auburn, Alabama, our friends in Birmingham, a beautiful town, stating that Birmingham gas prices drop now 43.2 cents lower than last year. And if you have those great memberships, whether it's a Shell station or BP or a Costco or a Sam's Club, whatever your choice in gas, that's even more relief and more savings for your pocket. In Lynchburg, Virginia, average gas prices in Virginia falling last week, according to Gas Buddy. You go to Rome, Georgia, Charleston, South Carolina, even Gainesville, Florida, or Chattanooga, Tennessee, seeing that gas prices continue to fall in this current market. Even Detroit, Michigan, where things can be rather pricey in the big city, state gas prices drop after the 4th of July. And that's really an accomplishment in and of itself, because you could see either price gouging, or just because so many people are traveling and those long lines, the traffic created from it, you might have it go up a bit. But no, everything is really across the country going down in regards to gas prices. Syracuse, New York, AAA stating that gas prices are trending down despite the record travel over the 4th of July weekend. And in Low Country, South Carolina, gas prices dropping to $2.72 per gallon. The national prices show similar decline. Even in San Luis Obispo, California, SLO County, the gas prices are coming down. And I can tell you that part of the country, rather expensive, lots of tourism, and really an amazing sight to see that prices are going down there. Even in West Palm Beach, Florida, President's new hometown, drivers see the cheapest Independence Day in gas since 2021. And from Rochester, Minnesota, Akron, Ohio, gas prices have gone down again in Northeast Ohio and in and around Rochester over the holiday weekend. Even in La Crosse, not far from Rochester, gas prices down from the same time just last year. So we're starting to see this economic relief coming from the packages passed in the Congress, the President Trump's executive orders, and we'll see what happens here with the One Big Beautiful Bill and all of the successes that have taken place over the course of the last couple of weeks in this administration for the country. President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill is truly a win for workers, farmers, and America's future. And just being released by the White House, President Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, now the law of the land, is a sweeping legislative success. We'll toss it now to Karoline Leavitt at the White House.
Hope you all had a great weekend. I want to start by addressing the devastation from the tragic flash floods in Texas. Moments ago, the Department of Homeland Security provided an update that 91 innocent souls have now perished. Everyone here at the White House, including the President of the United States, is praying for the victims' families and friends during this unimaginable time. President Trump swiftly signed a major disaster declaration for Kerr County, Texas, to ensure our heroic first responders have every resource they need in the relief and recovery efforts. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem traveled to Texas over the weekend, and the entire Trump administration is working hand in glove with state and local officials to provide every assistance available. The situation on the ground remains dangerous, and there could be additional public safety threats with potential incoming heavy rain. So we encourage everyone in the area to remain vigilant, listen to all warnings, and respond accordingly. Unfortunately, in the wake of this once-in-a-generation natural disaster, we have seen many falsehoods pushed by Democrats such as Senator Chuck Schumer and some members of the media. Blaming President Trump for these floods is a depraved lie, and it serves no purpose during this time of national mourning. Here are the facts. In the lead up to this tragic natural disaster, the National Weather Service did its job. Despite unprecedented rainfall, the National Weather Service executed timely and precise forecasts and warnings. On July 3rd, the National Weather Service office in Austin, San Antonio, Texas, conducted forecast briefings for emergency management in the morning and issued a flood watch in the early afternoon. Flash flood warnings were also issued on the night of July 4th, giving preliminary lead times of more than 3 hours before flash flooding conditions occurred. And the National Weather Service office in New Braunfels, which delivers forecasts for Austin, San Antonio, and the surrounding areas, had extra staff on duty during the storms, despite claims of the contrary. So to any person who has deliberately lied about these facts surrounding this catastrophic event, you should be deeply ashamed. At this time, the administration's focus will be giving the victims and their communities the support they deserve during these recovery efforts in this tragic time. May God bless the great people of Texas, especially the parents who have lost their children. President Trump loves you. We are praying for you, and he will be traveling to see you later this week. Moving along to some further scheduling announcements. Tonight, President Trump will host the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, for dinner, where they will discuss the positive developments taking place in the Middle East region. Tomorrow, the President will host his 6th cabinet meeting of his 2nd term. Many of you will be invited to cover that. And on Wednesday, the President will host leaders from 5 African nations for lunch in the state dining room. In other news, after the historic signing on the South Lawn of the White House on the 4th of July, President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill is now the law of the land. Republicans in Congress met the once-in-a-generation moment and codified the Make America Great Again agenda into law. After this monumental achievement, no other president in modern history has worked harder and faster to fulfill their campaign promises than Donald Trump. The One Big Beautiful Bill will get the United States of America firing again on all cylinders. It's safe to say that over the past few weeks, the president has delivered on many, many wins. For the 4th month in a row, jobs numbers beat market expectations with nearly 150,000 good jobs created in the month of June. The American economy has now added nearly 700,000 jobs since January 2025, with American-born workers accounting for all job gains. President Trump drove illegal border crossings to another historic low in the month of June, and Border Patrol once again released 0 illegal aliens into our country. The Supreme Court stopped activist judges from imposing nationwide injunctions and cleared the way for President Trump to carry out his popular and common sense agenda. The University of Pennsylvania agreed to all of the Trump administration's demands and will now keep men out of women's sports. President Trump secured his trade deal with Vietnam, giving the United States total access to their markets. Because of President Trump's unleashing American energy dominance, gas prices are at 4-year lows. And when adjusted for inflation, gas prices are near the lowest levels we've seen in the last 20 years. NATO members agreed to raise defense spending to 5% of GDP, a foreign policy feat long thought impossible until President Trump made it happen. The Operation Midnight Hammer obliterated Iran's nuclear capabilities, taking out this imminent national security threat not just to the United States, but to the entire world. The president secured a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, ending the 12-day war. The president brokered a historic peace agreement between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Pakistan nominated President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize in recognition of his decisive diplomatic intervention to prevent a nuclear war between India and Pakistan. Blue-collar wage growth has seen its largest increase in nearly 60 years, and President Trump has defeated Joe Biden's inflation crisis with core inflation at the lowest level since March of 2021. And just about all of that has happened in the last 3 weeks, and I know you all know it because you've been very busy here covering it along with us. So with that, I will take your questions today as we kick off another very busy week here at the White House. We'll lead with our new media seat, Brian Glenn, who is he's put in a lot of hours covering this president, so we're glad you finally have a seat today. Brian, go ahead.
It feels great to sit down. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I want to go back to the hurricane. You said that President Trump is scheduled to go to Texas later this week. Can you speculate on what day and what he has plans?
Sure. The White House is currently arranging those travel plans. We hope that it will be later this week, likely on Friday, but of course we want to do it at the most appropriate time on the ground for state and local officials. We don't want to interrupt the recovery efforts, but we're planning tentatively for a Friday trip, and when that becomes final, we'll let all of you know, as we always do.
And you gave a little bit of reaction earlier, but the National Weather Service, the union, actually publicly stated they had an adequate staff on hand to forecast and predict the storm. You shared your thoughts earlier on how the way the left has really weaponized this to blame the deaths in Texas on Trump. Want to comment on that again?
Yeah, I just do think those comments are depraved and despicable, especially when so many Americans are mourning the loss of their children. The National Weather Service, as I said, did its job. Many experts, many meteorologists have said that. Many of you in the media, in all fairness, have said that as well. Unfortunately, not all. And many Democrat elected officials are trying to turn this into a political game, and it is not. This is a national tragedy, and the administration is treating it as such. We know the National Weather Service provided early and consistent warnings. They gave out timely flash flood alerts. There were record-breaking lead times in the lead up to this catastrophe. There is ongoing flood monitoring, and these offices were well staffed. In fact, one of the offices was actually overstaffed. They had more people than they need. So any claim to the contrary is completely false, and it's just sad that people are pushing these lies.
Can I just get one more?
Sure.
Kind of a little bit of breaking news. The Department of Homeland Security is moving to end the TPS status on Honduran and Nicaraguan migrants.
Yes.
Any plans to adding additional countries that you could be targeting? Just a reaction.
Sure. Well, I won't get ahead of the Department of Homeland Security on additional countries, but as you pointed out, they did end temporary protective status for Nicaraguans and Hondurans in this country because TPS, temporary protective status, is temporary by definition. It is not meant to be a permanent path to residency or citizenship here in the United States of America. It was originally granted to Nicaraguans following a natural disaster in 1999. That doesn't sound very temporary to me. And as well as Hondurans in 1999 after the impact of Hurricane Mitch in 1998. And so this administration is doing what it promised to do. And if individuals from these countries want to come here, they have a legal pathway to do it, but temporary protective status was never meant to be permanent. The previous administration abused this status and this parole program, essentially treating it as such, and we're not going to tolerate that any further. Thank you, Brian. Megan.
Secretary Bessent said yesterday that countries will boomerang back to the April 2nd tariff level starting August 1st. Why did the president decide to have those tariffs not take effect Wednesday as originally scheduled? And then I was also wondering if you could share, obviously we saw the letters the president sent out on Japan and South Korea, but if any other major U.S. trading partners are getting letters today.
Sure, yes, I can confirm. In fact, I have those letters. If you could get me the folder with the letters in them, Liz, they're right in the previous office. I have the signed letters that went out to both South Korea and Japan today. And there will be approximately 12 other countries that will receive notifications and letters directly from the President of the United States. And weeks ago, I stood at this podium and I told all of you that the President was going to create tailor-made trade plans for each and every country on this planet. And that's what this administration continues to be focused on. The President will also sign an executive order today delaying the July 9th deadline to August 1st. So the reciprocal tariff rate or these new rates that will be provided in this correspondence to these foreign leaders will be going out the door within the next month, or deals will be made. And those countries continue to negotiate with the United States. We've seen a lot of positive developments in the right direction, but the administration, the president, and his trade team want to cut the best deals for the American people and the American worker. That's what they're focused on. And in the effort of transparency, these letters will continue to be posted to Truth Social, so you can enjoy them yourself. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. Just about the visit of Prime Minister Netanyahu today, I was just wondering why that is not open to the press. Previous visits by him, we've had Oval Office press conferences. Does that reflect somehow the kind of sensitivity of this particular visit?
No, they're having a private dinner. There's many important matters that are obviously ongoing in the region, as you know. The utmost priority for the president right now in the Middle East is to end the war in Gaza and to return all of the hostages. Also, as you know, there was a ceasefire proposal that Israel supports that was sent to Hamas, and we hope that they will agree to this proposal. We want to see all of the hostages released. That's on the top of the president's mind, so that will be discussed, as well as the many other positive developments we've seen in the Middle East. I want to go back to the trade deals. As you see, we have these beautiful letters that the president has signed. This one is to the President of the Republic of Korea, original signature on that, and these will be mailed. And then here we also have another letter to the Prime Minister of Japan as well. Both countries will be receiving a 25% tariff rate effective on August 1st. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. You said it, and the President said it many times, you want to see an end to the war in Gaza. Will he give guarantees during this 60-day period of ceasefire that actually the war will end? Because this is a sticking point with Prime Minister Netanyahu, and I'm wondering if they see eye to eye on this point. And how do you see the next day? What the next day?
the president is focused on today, and to get Hamas to agree to this ceasefire. I don't want to comment on the details of the arrangement out of respect for these negotiations, but a agreeable and appropriate ceasefire proposal has been sent to Hamas. And I can also tell you Special Envoy Witkoff intends to travel to Doha later this week, where he will continue to engage in these discussions. And the Qataris and the Egyptians have been incredibly helpful partners in mediating these negotiations and discussions to bring peace to this region and end this conflict once and for all. Kristen.
2 questions. Thank you, Caroline. Sure. The first question is President Trump reconsidering his plan to phase out FEMA, given what officials have said is their critical role on the ground now in Texas?
Look, the president wants to ensure American citizens always have what they need during times of need. Whether that assistance comes from states or the federal government, that's a policy discussion that will continue. And the president has always said he wants states to do as much as they can, if not more. And in the case of Texas, the state and local officials are doing a tremendous job. And I know the president, Secretary Noem, and the federal government are very proud to be working with them. And the president has promised to give Texas the assistance that they need during this tragic time.
Just one follow-up on cuts overall. Over the weekend, President Trump said that Elon Musk was a train wreck. Are there, given this current viewpoint, are there concerns within the White House or from the president himself over the cuts that happened under Musk while he was advising DOGE, including the National Weather Service?
I think I've already addressed that, Kristen, and what I can tell you is that these offices were fully staffed. The San Angelo office was fully staffed with 12 forecast meteorologists. There were no vacancies. The San Antonio office was operating with 11 forecasters. And as Brian said, the union themselves said that there was adequate staffing. So I think those words speak for themselves and the numbers speak for themselves. This was a once-in-a-century flash flood, a tragic natural disaster, and the administration is doing all that we can on the ground to help these families during this time of need. Jeff.
Thanks very much, Caroline. Just following up on Kristen's question, is it still the president's plan to phase FEMA out by the end of this year?
I just answered Kristen's question for you.
One more, hold on, one more.
Sure, I'll give it to you. Go ahead.
The follow-up on trade as well. 12 more letters coming, you said. Can you give us a sense of which countries those are?
I'll let the president reveal those in very due time. Keep your eyes on Truth Social. Michael, in the back.
Thank you, Caroline. An armed shooter today was shot in McAllen, Texas, after opening fire on Border Patrol agents. Comes just days after Democratic Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal recently said she gets, quote, inspired when activists obstruct ICE. Does the White House expect Democrats to tone down their rhetoric in light of what we saw today in McAllen, Texas?
We certainly call on Democrats to tone down their rhetoric against ICE and Border Patrol agents who, again, are everyday men and women. I would encourage AOC and other Democrats to actually meet with the United States Border Patrol. These are honorable Americans who are just simply trying to do their job to enforce the law. They go home to their families every night just like we all do, and they deserve respect and dignity for trying to enforce our nation's immigration laws and to remove public safety threats from our communities. The White House is aware of the shooting that took place today in Texas, and we are working with the appropriate federal agencies to get to the bottom of what happened.
Caroline, the DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable, and I would argue this administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration is committed to truth and to transparency. That's why the Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the President's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death. And they put out a memo in conclusion of that review. There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and it contained child pornography, which is not something that's appropriate for public consumption. But they committed to an exhaustive investigation. That's what they did, and they provided the results of that. That's transparency.
Follow up on that,
Sure.
Caroline. Okay, so the FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News.
Got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat, which has our murder rate trending in the lowest direction in United States history. Their emphasis on violent crime and locking up violent criminals has led to the arrest of 14,000 violent criminals. That's a 62% increase from the same time period last year. So this Attorney General and the FBI Director are committed to putting bad people behind bars where they belong. That they promised an exhaustive review. That's what they did. For any further details, I would refer you to the Department of Justice.
Okay. Thanks, Caroline. With Prime Minister Netanyahu visiting the White House today, yesterday the president said that he was working on a more permanent deal with Iran, but several days ago he didn't think one was necessary. What changed?
Well, when you asked me about this, or when you all asked me about this several weeks ago, I said the president thought maybe an Iran deal was not necessary, but of course the president is always interested in peace and diplomacy. That remains true, and the administration continues to be in contact, both directly and indirectly, with the Iranians on a deal.
And then on tariffs, you're now delaying the deadline from July 9th to August 1st. Is that an acknowledgement that perhaps the administration found it more difficult to negotiate these trade deals, or whatever happened to 90 deals in 90 days?
No, it's an acknowledgement that this administration is doing what's best for the American worker, and we want the best deals possible for our workers, for our manufacturing base, for our middle class, and they are doing this deliberately and appropriately on behalf of our country's interests. Josh.
A couple more on the tariffs. You said about 12 more letters. There were about 55 or so countries, including the EU as a bloc, that were facing this tariff increase. All of those, to understand you correctly, are now deferred to August 1st, right?
Correct.
And on the 12, what happens with the remaining, whatever it would be, 40 something?
So just 12 today. There will be additional letters in the coming days.
So all of them are going to get a letter at some point?
Correct.
Okay, and can you tell me why he decided to start with South Korea and Japan? Are they annoying him?
It's the president's prerogative, and those are the countries he chose.
And on the sectoral tariffs, it's our understanding that these continue to be a separate track. We're still waiting on a bunch of those.
That's right.
Is there any timing update on when he's going to move on, for instance, semiconductor tariffs and other things that are still in the hopper?
I don't have a timing update, but for where they are in the process, I would defer you to the Department of Commerce.
Should we expect deals finally as well? He announced this Vietnam deal. Are you close on any other countries?
The president and the administration, yes, we are close. But again, the president wants to ensure these are the best deals possible. And I would add just one more thing on trade and tariffs to wrap it up. Look at the extensive work this president has put into cutting these good deals and doing what's right for the American worker. He is literally looking at the map and looking at every country on the planet and seeing where they are ripping off the American people, seeing where they have hollowed out our industrial base, seeing where our jobs have gone to other countries overseas because of their tariff policies, and he's trying to correct that. So this is decades of bad trade policy that has led to a deficit that is ravaging our country, that is ravaging our The president is taking a very deliberate approach to correcting this wrong of many decades, of many past presidents. And so I think he should be commended for the time and the effort that he is putting into this. And the fact that he has announced a framework with China, a trade deal with the United Kingdom, a trade deal with Vietnam, and many others to come in just a matter of 6 months is truly historic, and it's a testament to this president and his trade team who are working around the clock to get this done. Sure.
Two questions on Iran. What's the permanent deal with Iran looks like for the president, and what issues related to Iran should it cover? And secondly, has the president seen the interview with Iranian president, which he says that the United States president, Mr. Trump, is capable enough to guide the regions toward the peace and brighter future, and put Israel in its place, or it gets more into conflict? Has the president seen these comments, and what's his reaction to these comments?
I'm not sure if he's seen those comments, but certainly I think it's true that the president is the right man for the job to move this region into the direction of peace and stability for the future. That's what he and his national security team are working on every day, and we've already seen historic achievements in that direction.
Follow-up?
Go ahead. In the back. Kelly, go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank
Sure.
you.
And then in front of you.
Okay, a couple questions for you. First,
Y'all need name tag signs.
First question on the flooding in Texas. I know there has been some concern about the timing of the alert.
knowing that they did go out, but the warnings coming out in the wee hours, so while many people were likely sleeping. Can you share just details of what you know about why those warnings were sent while people were likely sleeping, and then what the administration is doing to ensure that these alerts come out sooner?
Well, the alerts imminently were sent out before the flood when people were sleeping because the flood hit in the very early hours of the morning. So people were sleeping in the middle of the night when this flood came. That was an act of God. It's not the administration's fault that the flood hit when it did. But there were early and consistent warnings. And again, the National Weather Service did its job. On July 2nd, there were initial notices of potential weather and flooding risks were issued. On July 3rd, escalating warnings throughout the day with a flood watch issued at 1:18 p.m. And then later at 6:10 p.m. on July 3rd, the Weather Prediction Center warned of excessive rainfall and a high likelihood of flash flooding. At 6:22 p.m. July 3rd, National Weather Center issued a hydraulic warning highlighting considerable flooding risks, including in Caryville County. And then there were the timely flash flood alerts at 11:41 p.m., 1:14 a.m., and then another flash flood emergency warning issued at 4:03 a.m. just before the flood hit. So those were all of the warnings that went out to the affected area and region. Go ahead.
One question on education funding
Go
for
ahead.
states
Thank you very
and
much. I
local
appreciate it,
districts.
Caroline. Two questions for you related to the Prime Minister's visit today. Number one, there's a report circulating that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation provided a proposal to the White House to build these so-called humanitarian transit areas inside and outside of Gaza. The GHF is insistent it has nothing to do with that proposal. Can you shed any light on whether the White House has received such a proposal, and if so, from whom?
I'm unaware if a proposal from the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was sent to the White House. I haven't seen it, but I can ask our National Security Council.
And also a document circulating that the White House is prepared to lift the Foreign Terrorist Organization designation from HTS, the group of President al-Shara in Syria. Can you confirm that that's taking place?
Again, I haven't heard that, or I'm not aware of that action taking place. As you know, we did lift particular sanctions on Syria, but we did leave them on for particular terrorist groups. If that has changed, we will, of course, let you know if there's a change in policy, but I'm unaware of one at this time. Sure, go ahead.
Me? Hi, Caroline. Thank you. Ahead of
You can go too, since you're so eager.
ahead of the president's meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu today, is there a scenario where Israel has made it clear that they will not bring an end to this war until Hamas is decimated? And the president just 5 months ago suggested a potential takeover of Gaza. Is there a situation where tonight the two men will change their posture, and in the scenario that Hamas turns over the remaining hostages, that the war could come to a permanent end, and that they will seek that under that scenario that they would essentially try to bring this war to a permanent end beyond just that 60-day ceasefire?
Again, you're putting a hypothetical situation in the air, so I don't want to comment on that out of respect for these ongoing negotiations and discussions that are taking place. But as for the takeover of Gaza, I don't believe the president ever said that. I think he discussed a rebuilding of Gaza once this war is over. This has become an uninhabitable place for human beings, and the president has a big heart. He wants this to be a prosperous, safe part of the region where people and families can thrive, and there will be a need for a real rebuilding effort when the time comes. But right now we need to end this war, and we need to bring all of the hostages home. The president is adamant about that.
The war tonight?
Look, again, I will let the president speak for himself later if he decides to comment on the details of the agreement, but out of respect for the discussions, I won't do that from the podium. Go ahead.
So Congressman Lawler and Gottheimer have introduced a bill in Congress, the Bunker Buster Act, that would allow the United States to sell B-2 bombers and bunker buster bombs to Israel. Is that something the president would support?
Well, I don't know if the president's aware of the Bunker Buster Act, but I will ask him and see what his opinion on that is. I'm not sure.
Right, thank you.
Caroline, thank you, Caroline. Building off of the question earlier about the shooter in Texas who targeted ICE, Axios reported today, I believe, that Democrat lawmakers were saying their constituents are calling on them to be more violent when they go to ICE facilities, including, I believe, they want them to shed blood, and that they said that Democrat lawmakers should be willing to get shot themselves. Can you respond to that, and do you have concerns that any of these lawmakers might act on the wishes of their constituents?
It's hard to believe anyone with morals in this country or decency would say such a thing. Obviously, the White House condemns that rhetoric, and we condemn violence of any kind. This administration is simply trying to enforce our laws, and we must be a nation of law and order. You cannot simply waltz across our border and live here illegally and expect to stay. We are going to enforce our nation's laws, and the men and women who are doing that are doing so in a respectful way. They are doing so within the confines of the law, and they are just trying to do their jobs. And we condemn any violence or any calls for violence of any kind against any American. Go ahead.
Thank you, Karoline. I wanted to ask you if...
I was not calling on you, but you can go ahead. It's fine. There's a lot of people in here today.
The letter that the Colombian President Gustavo Petro sent him apologizing for his comments a few weeks ago, suggesting that there was an involvement from the U.S. government in an alleged coup d'etat in Colombia. And Secretary Rubio recalled the U.S. Chargé d'Affaires in Colombia. Did President Trump saw that letter, and what do you think about the comments from President Petro suggesting that the U.S. has some kind of involvement in a coup?
I'm not sure if the president has seen that letter, but I can check with him in the National Security Council. We will get you a response if you follow up with my team. We will find out for you.
Caroline?
Sure, go ahead. Iris, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Caroline. On two topics.
First, I love how excited everyone is on Monday. Yes, Raquel, you can go after.
On two topics. First, tariffs. The president announced last night that any countries aligning themselves with the anti-American policies of BRICS will be charged with an additional 10% tariff. Can you tell us more details on that? What specific policies is the president talking about here? These two countries stay away from to avoid being subject to additional tariffs?
Sure. Well, the president feels, generally speaking, that BRICS is seeking to undermine the interests of the United States. It's the president's utmost responsibility to put the interests of the United States first. That's how he views his job as president. So he's going to ensure that America is fairly treated on the world stage, and he'll take any action necessary to prevent countries from taking advantage of the United States and our people. Raquel, go ahead.
On the legal immigrants, Register Tom Homan told us this morning that ICE will have to arrest 7,000 legal immigrants every day for the remainder of this administration to just catch the ones that were let in during the last administration. I'm wondering what the new resources and manpower, of course, given by the Big Beautiful Bill, which of course opens the door for ICE to hire additional 10,000 agents and officers. What's the administration's expectations now for daily arrest numbers going forward in the upcoming months?
Sure. I'll let the Secretary of Homeland Security and her department speak on what they're looking for in terms of daily numbers. What I can tell you is I receive the daily reports each morning, and ICE is out there doing the jobs that they swore an oath to do, and they are removing public safety threats from our communities every day, and our country is becoming a safer place because of their efforts. And the One Big Beautiful Bill that is now law will give significant resources to ICE and Border Patrol to continue the tremendous work that they are already doing. And I think every American who wants to live in a safe neighborhood should be grateful for their efforts.
Thank you,
Caroline. Raquel, and then I can go to you.
So much.
And then you, Dr. Harper.
Thank you, Caroline. It's a follow-up on the BRICS question. So does President Trump believe that the BRICS are getting stronger or trying to isolate the United States? And how close is he monitoring this summit that is taking place in Brazil right now?
He's closely monitoring it, which is why he put out a statement himself. He does not perceive these countries as growing stronger. He just perceives them as trying to undermine the United States' interests, and that's not okay with him, no matter how strong or weak a country may be. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
As promised, yes, go ahead.
Does Trump have a vision for post-war Gaza? You mentioned, he's talking about now the ceasefire, but does he support permanent or temporary Israeli presence in the Gaza Strip? Does he continue to see a continued role for the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation to continue to operate in the Gaza Strip?
Well, as you know, because we've talked about it before, the president has directed aid to be moved into the region, and that has been taking place. You've actually seen people in the Gaza Strip yelling out, "Thank you, Trump," for the aid and for the meals that they have received, because the previous administration never did that for some reason. But this president, again, wants to see peace and stability in the region. So as I outlined previously, he views this part of the region as having a real chance at being peaceful and prosperous. But again, we need to end this war. We need to get all the hostages home, and Hamas needs to accept this proposal in order to do that. Dr. Harper, go ahead.
I'm Dr. Anthony Harper with the Intermountain Christian Youth. Thank you for taking my questions. Given the nature of the Palestinian Authority, with their pay to slay, teaching Jew hatred to children, corrupt leaders, and no elections for 19 years, Who does President Trump support to govern Area A and Area B to prevent Hamas from ruling? And what is President Trump's position on Israeli sovereignty?
Sure. Well, the president believes Israel, of course, has a right to defend itself. As for the first part of your question, you're getting ahead, Dr. Harper. As I told you, the president wants Hamas to accept this proposal right now. He wants to see peace in this region, and he's committed to doing that. Sean.
Hey, Caroline, can you just please walk us through the decision to halt the supply of weapons to Ukraine at a time when Russia is really hitting Ukrainian cities and civilians? Was that the president who decided that, or did the Pentagon do it without his approval?
No, neither of those things are true. I'm happy to walk you through it. This was a standard review by the Pentagon of all weapons and all aid and all support that the United States is providing all countries and all regions around the world, not just Ukraine. When the Secretary of Defense took office, he directed the Pentagon to conduct this review to ensure that everything that's going out the door aligns with America's interests. So it's a pause to review to ensure that everything the Pentagon is pushing out there is in the best interest of our military and our men and women in uniform. Fran.
Two questions on Israel. You suggested that Hamas is the impediment currently to a ceasefire. So if not a ceasefire deal, then what does the president hope to achieve with tonight's dinner with the prime minister?
Again, you guys are getting around to a lot of hypotheticals. I don't want to get ahead of the president, but there are many other issues to discuss with Prime Minister Netanyahu tonight related to the region and just the entire world. So this will be a dinner to talk about Operation Midnight Hammer, which was incredibly successful, to talk about peace in Gaza and ending that conflict, as well as many other topics of discussion in relation to Israel and the United States. Sure, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. Given the fact, this is on the trade letters, given the fact that the president put into effect the tariffs on April 2nd and then put the pause into place, is the president at all concerned that these countries that are receiving the letters won't take them seriously because the deadline seems to have shifted already and may shift again?
They will take the letter seriously because they have taken the president seriously. And that's why the president's phone, I can tell you, rings off the hook from world leaders all the time who are begging him to come to a deal. And this administration is working hard to ensure those deals are in the best interest of the American people. And this delay, again, is in the best interest of the American people. And you all will continue to see these letters released on the president's Truth Social. And we will see you all later. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Caroline.
With White House Press Secretary, the GOAT, Karoline Leavitt, as she holds a press briefing on this Monday afternoon, July 7th, President Trump hosting Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. And we look forward to what may happen with that tonight. It's a closed press event, but also discussing the aftermath of the 12 days war. President Trump swiftly bringing that to an end with B-2 bombers, as we saw just a couple of weeks ago. What a June it was for President Trump, all highlighting that in Des Moines, Iowa. In case you missed it, for the big kickoff of America 250. Happy birthday, America. 249 years young, but this year is a golden jubilee. And lots on the docket this week with this declaration for Texas, this emergency funding the federal government will assist with, and Kristi Noem leading the charge at Department of Homeland Security to assist with Governor Greg Abbott in Texas. And again, our thoughts and prayers with everyone in Texas. Just some horror stories mixed with truly heroic stories. So, for example, you have this brave individual helping rescue 165 lives by the air during this Texas flood, people hanging on dearly for life in the middle of the night as these river waters overflowed out of Guadalupe River in the hill country of Texas, and over 850 lives have been saved. But then a tragic story I just came across during Karoline Leavitt's press briefing, that two sisters were holding each other's hands and found together. And we just ask for God's abundant mercy and eternal rest to be upon those whose lives have been lost, from young girls to their parents as well, in this horrible situation. So Our thoughts and prayers with everyone in Texas, and we hope to have this week with you elected officials to come on to give the most updated assessment of what's going on the ground in the Hill Country. You know, Governor Greg Abbott has stated that it's still in the recovery efforts and in those modes, but President Trump focused diligently on that, as well as the 25% tariff against Japan and against South Korea. We'll see how they respond as well, with up to 12 to 15 countries receiving those letters, and we'll see what decisions they make by August 1st of this year. It's 2:01 on the East Coast, 11:01 on the West Coast, so good afternoon, America. Also, good morning if you're on the West Coast. I'm Robert McNeely with Right Side Broadcasting Network Live. Get all of your America First updates and exclusive offers at rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. Feedback at rsbn.tv if you wish to opine. And we love being here with you on a daily basis to bring you all of the updates from inside and outside of the Beltway. We love to hear stories of what's happening in your neck of the woods, so please feel free to write in again at feedback at rsbn.tv. If you like what we're doing here, we'd be honored to have your support financially. rsbnetwork.com/donate, a great way to assist in our efforts as citizen journalists, anchors, hosts, and so that's where you can catch all of the written word at the newsletter site. Also, text RSBN to 801-801 as you may have in the past. RSBN to 801-801, rsbnetwork.com/donate. We're honored to have all of your support as we are on the right side of history, your go-to live desk to bring you all unbridled access to your government. Again, all America First updates and exclusive offers at rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. For all of my colleagues at Right Side Broadcasting Network, I'm Robert McNeely. It's always a joy to be with you, and we hope you are enjoying your Monday after a big 4th of July celebration in the middle of this big, bold, beautiful summer that we're having. Stick with us all week for incredible coverage. And for all of my colleagues here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, have a wonderful afternoon. God bless you, and hug those you love just a little tighter. And we'll see you very soon.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live Show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.